I'm going to do one of these every week, possibly on the Sunday, as I said. I'm going to try and change the shirts, as you can see behind me there. It's one that says "Trust Me" is from Port Douglas, and the other one is from Longreach, Qantas actually. So yeah, you'll probably see it better than what I can see it at this stage. But anyhow, like I said, anybody that wants to send me a message or react, you can do that during the live stream. All you've got to do is send me a message on YouTube, and away we go. Simple as that. But look, at the end of the day, the biggest mistake people make, and I don't call it a mistake, the biggest thing that happens is you overspend on probably stuff you don't need, and I'm being a great one for that too. Like, it's fine to have 4 spare tyres, because if you blow 3, well, you still got 1. I understand that. 4 spare tyres is a good idea. Like, you don't do that. Fuel. Look, on the way to the Cape, there was fuel probably every maximum 300 Ks. So we took 4 jerry cans of fuel, which was, definitely an overkill. Plus the weight that we had to worry about. It was there was 80 kilos sitting on the drawbar. I'll get to another point in a minute that does affect, which makes it a bit difficult. But your biggest cost will be fuel. On that trip that we did, which is almost 10,000 Ks, was $1,800 just in fuel cost. So that's always going to be a big cost. Because we was pulling a caravan at the time, it's a bit, it's like that. That's what happens. You go from maybe being 11 or 12 litres per 100 Ks to 15 or 16. And all depends on the road and where you're going. But anyhow, fuel cost is your biggest cost. Your next cost is if you were like us and stopped at numerous different caravan parks and places where you had to pay to stay because you probably got power or you got water. Well, that cost for us for the 4 weeks that we was away, or 5 weeks we was away, was $970. And plus we had some free camping at the same time. So, there's another cost you to look at. And I'm not saying try and skimp on everything. I'm saying this is your experience, and try and make it suit your budget. Try and make it suit what you're hoping to get out of it. No one needs to tell you what you want to do and where you want to go. Like I said, it's your experience. If you're not sure, go to YouTube and have a look. There's some great people on there that's done some very good trips. One that comes to mind is Mr. Buckaroony from Innisfail. Another one is Sean and Chris. Numerous other people from Cairns and in far north Queensland that's been up to the Cape and been to Western Australia, been to Darwin. We've been to Darwin. It's a fairly easy trip, Darwin. Not very hard at all. It's mostly tar, and once you get across the border, you can travel at 130 kilometres an hour. Well, my caravan, I can't do that. I'll tell you why that is in a minute because of legal responsibilities. But anyhow, getting back, it's your experience. Just be careful with what you do. I took 3 fridges with me. One was a freezer. The other one was a main fridge that was in the caravan. And because it's a C12, it's another car fridge, a big car fridge, which is 60 litre fridge freezer. Not all that practical, just really too big for what it is. I got another one from J-Car, which was I can't think of the name of it now, which is Brass Monkey. Brass Monkey it's a brand name of a fridge. They're reasonably priced. you're looking for a budget type thing, that's all right. Now this one I've got goes in the truck with me overnight on my day job. Gets dragged out of that every weekend. We go away somewhere, we chuck it in the back of the car, put drinks in it. Look, it's 45 litres and it's a dual zone fridge. You can either run it as a dual zone, or you can run it as a single zone, or you can run it as a freezer, you can run it as a fridge. Great idea. So what am I going to do next time? I will only have 2 fridges, 1 freezer, and the brass monkey. It's probably all I'll need at this stage, or you know. So really, just be careful of going out and buying. I brought a set of Max Tracks to go to the Cape with. I thought that'll be a good idea. Never ever used them. So there's probably another thing. I have got the best chainsaw in the world on fuel. It done 10,000 Ks and only used half a tank of fuel. So I hardly ever used it. Another bit of weight that I probably should never have taken. Because once you get up there, you don't need to worry about keeping warm. You only need to worry about cooking on. So if you're cooking and you need a chainsaw, these electric chainsaws, these are, yeah, I reckon they're pretty good. But anyhow, fuel drums, like I said, if you've got a petrol car that you know is going to be fairly heavy on fuel, and we know they're heavy on fuel, then probably, yeah, a couple of drums, or maybe even 4 drums, to be sure. There's nothing worse than running out of fuel up there. Not that anybody would leave you on the side of the road. You know, I pulled up for a leak and every car that come along slowed down and, are you okay? Yeah, mate, just having a leak. All right, no worries. So you won't have any problems with that. Now, to get to the right weight, this is very important. Supercheap sell a set of scales, which is a ball, to weigh your ball weight. To overload a caravan is dangerous, and we know that, and we should not try and do that. If you was to overload a caravan and God forbid that it never ever happened, and you was involved in an accident, the first thing your insurance company wants to do is not pay you any money. They don't want to give you a brass razoo. They took your money in good faith, but what they want to do is expel every avenue that they've got to make sure that they don't have to legally pay you any money. That's how they make money. They're not the nice guys that everybody thinks they are, and what's written on the piece of paper that you get from them, and they'll warrant this. They'll insure this, they'll insure that, they'll insure something else, is really only propaganda. Because if you leave yourself open for any breaches within the law, you can guarantee the insurance company will not pay you. So what I mean by that is, if your ball weight is over, if they can prove that your ball weight was a contributing factor in the accident, no insurance, or possibility of no insurance. If your caravan is overloaded, possibility of no insurance, because they're saying if you wasn't overloaded, then the chances are there wouldn't be an accident. If the car and the caravan are overloaded, same thing again. If they can prove that, and they'll pat you on the back and say everything's okay, and we'll send the assessor down and we'll make sure that this is done, and we'll make sure that's done. We've got our investigation going through. Yeah, everything looks good. They're just building a case. And if you don't build a case, if you don't have a case to build, then you will be paid. There's no risk about that, because by law they have to. So ball weight, overloading on ball weight is a must. Have a look at your tow bar. Now there'll be a sticker on that tow bar, or there'll be a plate on that tow bar that tells you what that tow bar can tow. An example is you take a Jeep Grand Cherokee diesel. Now, the reason we say diesel is because a diesel is capable of pulling 3.5 tonnes with a ball weight of 350 kilos. But if you have a petrol Grand Cherokee, same car, same everything, just petrol, it's only 2,500. And the V8 is about the same, maybe 2,800. So just because the salesman says you can pull 3,500 kilos, he's talking about the diesel, not the petrol. Holden are the same. Any of those things are the same. If you've got diesel, it seems to give you more weight. I can't answer that question why. But if your tow bar was fitted to your car and that tow bar was fitted to a Grand Cherokee diesel and its maximum towing capacity on that tow bar is 2,800 kilos, that's all you can carry. And your bore weight will only be 280 kilos. So make sure that you look at that. It's not difficult, and the last thing you need to do is go down the road and be targeted for being overloaded, and you're not going to get any insurance, or you're going to get knocked off by the authorities because you're too heavy according to your tow bar or your gross vehicle mass or your towing capacity. So just be a bit careful about that. It's your experience. Don't let something as simple as that destroy it. So that's the legal side that I was talking about. Okay. All right. Now, with some of the other things that I've been talking about, just be a bit careful when you go to buy fuel. I noticed this in a couple of places. You mainly get it around bigger or larger towns or cities. You pull into a garage and it says truck fuel, $1.35, special vehicle diesel, $1.40. There's no difference. Diesel. So just be a bit wary of that. That can add to a cost. The trucks seem to be getting it cheaper, possibly because they buy more. I know the truck that I drive, there's nothing for me to put 800 or 900 litres in it. Where with a Grand Cherokee, I'm battling to get 90 litres in it if it's dead empty, and maybe 120 if I fill the couple of jerry cans up. So just be a bit wary of that. It adds to your cost. Another thing that can add to your cost is tyres. I elected to use a good brand of tyres. It cost me $300 a tyre. Sorry, it cost me $300 a tyre. And they've got to be good tyres to go all that way. Especially if you're going to the Cape, because you want to let some air out of them so you can try and get a better ride out of it. But so good tyres is a must. A reliable four-wheel drive, a reliable car, a reliable whatever you're going to do. Some people might even want to go on a motorcycle. You must know it, and you must know that it's reliable. So to give you an example, say you went with a 60 series Land Cruiser that uses oil, and you got to top up with water every morning, is probably not something you'd want to take to the Cape, or take to Darwin, where there's long distance in between water, and when they start using lots of oil and start using lots of water, their longevity is very, very minimal. So just be a bit careful of that. Make sure you know your vehicle, you know when it's serviced, you know when the next service is due, you know what fuel filters it takes. So you really need a set of fuel filters with you. You probably need, if you're going to do in excess of your service, is take oil with you and take filters with you. And this will minimise your costs, especially if you're mechanically minded and can do those jobs by yourself. It'll make a lot of difference. I'm not saying if you're not mechanical minded, don't even attempt it. Don't put yourself in that position where you're going to make your vehicle US because you tried to change the oil and lost something, or you stripped something because you tried to do it up too tight, or you was turning it the wrong way, or you couldn't get the oil filter off properly and you cross-threaded it when you put it back together, or or something in that way. Just be careful what you're doing, because that can add to that could dramatically add to your cost and ruin your trip away. So make sure that your four-wheel drive is, you understand your four-wheel drive or your vehicle or your motorcycle that you're taking. You understand it. You know how it ticks. You know what makes it work. Um, and take some of the spares that you need. Like, do we need 4 jerry cans of diesel? No, we don't. We need 2. But next time I will be taking, I took the fuel filters, the fan belt, and the oil filter and some oil. I took that with me, and some coolant, because that's sensible, and we'll be leaving 2 of the jerry cans at home next time. So be a bit careful with what you need to do. I went out and brought a $1,700 winch, had it fitted. Great job. They did a really good job on fitting the winch. The most I've ever used it is to pull the camper in and out of the shed so I can get motorcycles in and out. Most I've ever used it. Never used it for anything else. Mind you, I don't do the old teletrack or four-wheel drive or go anywhere that I would need to use it. But I was under the impression of some of the indications I got from people that had been to Cape York that you'd need a winch. So no, you don't need a winch. And if you go up there in the dry, some vehicles can be fitted with a snorkel for a minimal cost. To buy just a snorkel for a Grand Cherokee diesel is $660 plus another $600 to have it fitted. Where we went, we had no use whatsoever for a snorkel. All the roads were dry. All the creek crossings we went through were dry. If there was one that had water in it that we knew that we couldn't walk through, then there was no chance of us going through it anyhow. So just be a bit careful with. I'm not saying be stingy. I'm saying it's your experience. Don't let people talk you into things you don't really need. All right, so canned food. Mr. Wilson hates it with a passion, an absolute passion. Cannot stand canned food one little bit. Don't know why. I've looked in the mouth. I can't find a silver spoon anywhere, so it rules that out. But at the end of the day, canned food will last for almost ever. It's easy to store. You don't need a refrigerator to carry it. And you can get multitude of sin in canned food. You can get meat, you can get vegetables, you can get sweets, you can get butter, you can get... And look, the butter that's in the can, as long as if it's not opened, it's probably got a shelf life of over 12 months. So don't rule out canned food. Don't let your next door neighbour saying, oh, what are you going to go on the poverty pack run? You're not really doing that. All you're doing is saying, this is a fairly good idea. So I thought, I took a lot of canned food with me, a lot of canned vegetables. We used them. We used them in a casserole I made. When it comes to maps, here's a good one for you. It's got HEMA Maps. Their advertisement ploy is this way. If you were to buy HEMA Maps for Australia, which you can expand on an iPhone, do the finger thing, and it also shows your position with the GPS of the iPhone. And this is only iPhone. I'm not saying anything about Android, right? For $49, you can buy that, but when you go offline, you don't have any access to where you are at the time. Okay, that's their ploy on selling you that one. But what they do tell you is if you buy one for $99.99, $100, the other one's $49.99. If you buy the one for $99.99, no matter if you've got service or have service, or haven't got service, sorry, it will work. Where the other one for $49.99 won't work when you run out of service. Well, my experience with that is it's not right. because the one for $49.99 actually does give you your position and works just as good without service as it does with service. And as I said, that's only on iPhone because that's all I've got. But once we got to Bamagi, we had no phone service when it came to Optus. But we did have phone service with Optus at the tip, because I made a phone call to Brad and rung him and said, I'm standing on the most northernest part of the continent. And that's Optus. But at Bamagi, you have no phone service. So just be a bit careful. You don't have to buy the one for $99 if you've got an iPhone, because it still works up there. It's a little bit sort of iffy, but the positions are the same as what you get on the GPS. So the GPS that sits on the windscreen, how I know that is because I went to the GPS that sits on the windscreen and looked at the GPS position compared to the GPS position of the iPhone, and they were exactly the same. So just be a bit careful on that. Another good thing was I brought this book here, HEMA Maps, and it's Cape York, as you can see. All about Cape York and where you can go and what you can do. And it's a great book. Really, really good book. Cost me $50. All the information you want to know, where to go and what to do and everything like that. That cost me $50, that book. What am I going to do with it now? Yeah, well, I'll keep it anyhow because you never know. I might want to go back there. But like I was saying, this HEMA Maps on the phone, it still gives you the DC3 crash site. It still gives you the Croc 10. It still gives you where the aircraft, the Second World War aircrafts crashed at the airport at Bamagi. It still gives you all that, and it's on a map, and it's on your iPhone, so you can do that and see where it is, expand it, and it also gives you toilets, free camping, stuff like that. It's all in there, and it all works. What should I have done? Probably not brought that. So it would have been $50, I'd say. It doesn't sound like much, $50, I know. But anyhow, I want to read you something here. This book here was brought from a second-hand store. Now, unfortunately, I can't tell you where I brought that from because of requirements. And we'll leave it at that. But if you like some people that don't know what to cook in your camp oven, this is called bush stew. Pretty good, not too bad. And I'm going to paraphrase this just to get it down a little bit. So you want half a cup of diced beef or mutton, 1.5 cups of water. However you want to do it, you're going to be water, or another good thing to carry around with you is beef or chicken stock. Easy to store. You don't have to have it in the fridge. Just put it wherever you can put it, as long as something doesn't go through it. Right? 1 can of tomatoes. 1 can. Like I'm saying to you, canned tomatoes, canned vegetables. Right? 1 cup of tasty grated cheese. 1 pack of onion soup. Another thing, dried onion soup in a pack again. Easy to carry. 1/2 cup of uncooked rice. And 1 can of peas. There you go again. Vegetables. Now, basically it says get your camp oven hot, brown your meat off, leave it for about 30 minutes, add all your ingredients, as I've said, your canned tomatoes and the rest of the stuff. It's there, and let it simmer for the longer. I've noticed with beef and lamb, the longer you let it simmer, and keep an eye on it, doesn't boil dry. Just add a little bit of water, even a cup of water every now and again, and give it a stir. The better the meat is, the more tender it is, and it just seems to absorb the taste. Something about camp ovens. I don't know what. Maybe someone can send me a message and tell me why. But anyhow, that's what it is. So, $2, right? This one's by Tomo, and it's got numerous amounts of camp oven recipes. That's that one. Another one by Tomo. Great book again. This book to buy this book is $19, but at the bookshop $2. Same as this one here. This other one, and just looking at Tomo's book, if you have a look in the front of it, see where he cooked a mud crab in it. Yep, we did that. If you go back to one of our videos and have a look, you'll see we was cooking mud crabs. Yep, no problem whatsoever. Another book we brought, now I think this one was $2. Now to buy this book is $19.95 if you went and brought that book out of the shop. $2. Now, if you're planning this thing, like I used to do inspirational trips, where you'd sort of say, it's Friday, why don't we go to Darwin? Yeah, I'm older and wiser now, so I don't do that. But if you've got enough time to plan it, look around the good second-hand bookstores and you'll find these. And it's not a bad day out. You never know what else you might buy there. You might buy something for a camp oven. You might buy something else. You might even buy a billy, So they're the most important things you need. You need a billy because you really need to boil water to do lots of things. So really make sure that you make your experience. You have a budget. You don't need to go to the bank and borrow heaps and heaps and heaps of dollars. This whole thing, we spent about probably $4,500. We done 10,000 Ks. We travelled just about everywhere you could go up the tip. We came back down through Charters Towers. We seen the east coast of Australia. We seen the tropics, and we went out back. We went out Charters Towers and back down to St George and places like that. Went to Nindi Gully, great place to be, and then come all the way back in through Moree. So we had a pretty good trip, and it was our experience. No one told me what I had to buy or this is the best idea. Don't let anybody tell you. If you know what you're doing, ask people like myself, Mr. Buckaroony, Shan and Chris, and other people on YouTube that's done that kind of trip. They'll gladly send you back a message. No worries whatsoever. So, ask questions before you actually go to the local shop and say, what do I need? Because that's their job, to sell you as much as they can sell you at the dearest price they can probably do it. Borrow gear. I've got gear here that I only use once a year. If someone said to me, Jimmy, can we borrow a camp oven? I'll probably say no, but there might be someone that might say, oh, yeah, I haven't used it for a couple of years. That'll be fine. Make sure you bring it back. And if you do borrow something, make sure you do take it back, and make sure you take it back clean and in the condition that you borrowed it. And if it's not, make amends for it. That's all I can say about that. But anyhow, look, Mr. Wilson's telling me it's nearly time to go. Hopefully I'll get some more people that'll interact with us next week. But yeah, that'll be fine. Just remember the like button. That's the most important one. And subscribe. hairycampers@gmail.com. Any question you want at all, I'm always looking at that. Always. If you go to comments in Facebook or comments in YouTube, rather, the chances are I don't look at that every day because I am rather busy. But I do look at me. Doesn't take long for me to look at me emails, and I will get back to you. No problem at all. But the most important thing is there was two famous movie makers, explorers. I don't know what you say, but the Leyland brothers had a famous saying: "It's Australia. Get out there and see it," and it's free. It doesn't cost any money. You can go out there for a drive anytime you want. And Mel probably doesn't watch, but Good luck to you, Mal, and I hope you're well. Anyhow, Jimmy from Hairy Campers, don't forget to subscribe if you want to see this old mug somewhere in Australia. Thanks for watching.